Mondays are always good, aren't they? After a North London derby win, and Arsenal went into this game with key players missing, but Arteta still found a way. So what is the secret to Arsenal's success when it comes to the defending and the numbers and some of the stats they've put up, which quite frankly are out of this world? I'm here with Graham to talk about a really big North London derby win, a 1-0 win, a goal from Gabriel, a clean sheet, and for what just seemed to be for the Arsenal players another day at the office. And I know beating Tottenham is never another day at the office, but the way we just conducted ourselves through the game, stuck to a game plan, got the job done, and carried ourselves in a manner that just made it feel so normal. I was so impressed by Arsenal. I love the way they just dealt with the occasion.
First of all, good to see that we're in black today for Tottenham's funeral.
Yeah. I saw the AFTV account tweet something like that before when they announced that we weren't going to play in red. I thought that's quite a clever spin on it. I like it. And here we are. I mean, we had to do it as the Arsenal players did, and their funeral, so it was.
Yeah, all things considered, I think this was probably Arteta's most impressive away win as Arsenal manager. When you think that he went into the game with arguably all of his three best midfielders missing, no Odegaard to control the possession, no Rice to press up high, but no problem. The players that he brought in, he went with a double pivot of Jorginho and Partey. All the players bought into what he wanted, the tactical flexibility, and they all adapted wonderfully well in the game. Tremendous work rate by the wide players. We're going to touch on that today, how Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli really put in a shift defensively as well as offensively. And as the game we were able to, in our mid to low block, to stifle Tottenham. We wanted to play through the middle. We found something that Arsenal fans have been calling out for all season, and that is a killer in the box.
Yeah.
And that killer in the box is Nicolas Jover, who's now been responsible for 24 set-piece goals since he came in at the start of last season, James.
I mean, it's incredible numbers on the set-piece front, and I think we were saying before this that a lot of the talk and analysis and conversation has been, and maybe rightly so, about our set pieces and Tottenham's lack of quality on set pieces, and how that's just been a bit of a trick for Arsenal. It's been a bit of a cheat code for big games. I mean, Gabriel has scored at Anfield with a header. He scored at Stamford Bridge to get us a 1-0 win there. And of course, he's now scored in North London derby. And while I appreciate that it is something that Arsenal use brilliantly, you're right to mention it there in your intro that it's about Saka and Martinelli and the work rate they give us as a platform as well. Because when we talk about the defending this team does, you can talk about Gabriel and Saliba, and we're going to because they're magnificent and the goalkeeper and everyone puts in a shift. But the two areas where it's maybe easy to go missing in the defensive side of the game, Saka and Martinelli do so much. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. But let's go through the match stats first. We had 7 shots to their 15. 4 on target to their 5, way less of the ball, but that is what they do, Tottenham. They've had more possession than any other team in the league this season, which means more passes, but the XG, we still accumulated a higher 0.85 to their 0.81. In terms of attacking stats, they did have 79 final third entries, which you just mentioned off camera. Seemed excessively high, but I think that was probably, again, slightly expected, that we were going to let them have a lot of territory, but we were going to defend really compactly. We only had 22 final third entries. They had 37 deep touches to our 27, 22 zone 14 touches to our 7, and again a 68.6% field tilt, which is why we always say stats are good to know, but they don't win you games. Defensive stats, as many tackles as one another, as many interceptions as one another, but 32 clearances to 23. And 6 passes per defensive action to our 10.2, which showed that Arsenal didn't completely sit off. This wasn't a part of the buster of the whole game. What Arsenal don't get enough credit for, in my opinion, is the understanding of when to press, when to squeeze them. It's all about being compact. You can call it whatever you want, low block, mid block, whatever. The point is, the team, instead of being like this, it's like this, and then they move as a pack to every corner, to the final third, to the mid block, to the far third. Wherever they go, they do it as a unit. And yes, we're able to sit back and defend and have a low block, but we will still press, and we will still try and force errors in the opposition and defend in different areas of the pitch.
Yeah, he got the players to buy into that culture yesterday, James, because there were always going to be moments in that game when they would suffer, moments when they were being asked to be not only mentally but physically strong, and the players had to put their bodies on the line.
Yeah.
I was so proud of that group yesterday because basically all week Arteta's been talking about, he said it in his post-match conference. He was struggling he had sleepless nights last week because the players were going down one after another. He also lost Calafiori in the build-up to the game. So he would have had plans for this game, and he was having to adapt those plans as they went through the week. But the credit goes to the players, because basically he was asking them to sacrifice themselves. He had players in that game yesterday, like Jorginho, hadn't played a full 90 since Man United away last year. Jurriën Timber, who, let's face it, a year ago was that injured. He's been coming back from an injured. That was his breakout performance for me yesterday. He was absolutely immense in that game. And Thomas Partey, a lot of people criticised Partey, and I saw it on the social media after the game, but he won all 7 of his duels in that game. But I thought what I loved about this team was, talk about the defence. They just love defending, the culture.
Yeah.
They've got a collective fearlessness. They want to defend. And yesterday they did that superbly.
Yeah, they did. Shall we show it on the tactical pad? Because what we've got is the 2 formations, Tottenham in a 4-3-3 to Arsenal's 4-2-3-1. Tottenham's 11 was fascinating. I thought it was... A lot of Tottenham fans thought it was brave and exciting of Postecoglou to go with Maddison and Kulusevski. I actually thought he missed a trick. Pape Sarr is a very dynamic, energetic player who would not only help nullify what Arsenal can do going forward, but also give them the box-to-box energy to maybe run rings around Partey and Jorginho. But he actually went with Maddison and Kulusevski, want the ball to feet a little bit more and want to try and create. The reality is that actually, I don't think it worked for them whatsoever. Partey and Jorginho, very, very disciplined. We went for Trossard behind Havertz. What did you make of that as a combination?
I liked it. Credit to you, because I think I was in your match preview on AFTV last week. You called for the Trossard-Havertz sort of partnership up top.
It is what I would have started with.
I think it worked very well. I think Havertz and Trossard understand each other very well. I thought what you saw in the game was, with Martin Odegaard missing, I thought Havertz was drifting more to the right in the game to support Bukayo Saka on that right-hand side when we were building. So obviously, like if off the ball it was a 4-4-2 out of shape possession, which became a 5-3-2 at times, but on the ball we saw Havertz drifting out when we were building out to support Saka on that side, and then you had Trossard who was playing it sort of like in the 10 or sometimes going through the middle and sometimes coming out wide. So I thought it worked very well. I think Trossard and Havertz have a very good understanding positionally where to be as well, and you know, all things considered, I thought it worked really well. Yeah,
let's illustrate that position on the tactical pad, because with Trossard and Havertz, what I was fascinated by was who was going to mainly play in midfield, but that was in possession. But the big point I made on the preview was the reason I go for this combination is out possession. It doesn't matter, because Odegaard would basically press in a 4-4-2, and actually our shape in big games has been to actually have the fullbacks wide, so you create the box midfield via your 10 and your striker. So it didn't really matter if Trossard wasn't a natural 8 or a natural central midfielder in terms of the areas we'd be picking up. Now, moving the team along, this is kind of basically how the teams looked when Tottenham were on the ball. We know that they get Porro and Udogie quite tucked in. And the reality is, this probably doesn't actually do justice to how high up the pitch they can go, but we're going to illustrate that in a sec. We know that their wingers are wide, so Arsenal 4-4-2 have to adapt to this. What did you find about Saka and Martinelli's position that was so interesting in the way they were helping White and Timber?
Well, I think it was very fascinating, I thought, what Mikel asked Saka and Martinelli to do, because it depended on what side of the pitch Tottenham played down. If they played down their left-hand side, Saka was the one who was tracking the fullback, Destiny Udogie. So White would pull out to the wide player, and Saka was being asked to come back and track the runner. So if they went down that side, that's how we sort of went to the 5-3-2. Martinelli, I thought, if you go to Gabriel Martinelli, when they're playing down that side, he would tuck inside into the 3 to sort of congest the middle of the pitch. So he was out wide, obviously, to defend on that side if Porro was coming in, they were attacking down that side. But if they were going down the other side, I thought Mikel asked him to tuck inside. So I thought the way he asked our wingers to play was quite fascinating, actually. Depending on what side of the pitch Tottenham went down, Saka was the one tracking the fullback inside. Song would hold the width. And on the other side, if Porro, because they like to play inverted fullbacks up high, don't they, in their attacking 5. If it goes down the other side, it's Saka then tucks in, and it's Martinelli's job then to come inside and to support Timber who's tracking Johnson out wide. So I thought the work rate of our wide players in this game was something that what Mikel asked them to do, what they delivered, was perfect for the strategy that Mikel wanted to do.
So let's try to illustrate that actually then. So you're saying that when Martinelli would come across to help, you know, whatever it might be, right? So maybe Porro's move forward, you've got, you know, Timber and Martinelli dealing with Johnson, or it might be Timber out there with Martinelli a little bit. Sorry about all the arrows.
Yeah, what I would say is that when
they would come across like this, is what you're saying.
Yes, so what I would say is Martinelli's job really was if the ball went down Arsenal's left-hand side, Martinelli's job was to come to track the run of Poirot. Poirot was the one who more than likely would be inverting inside. Tottenham are very clever with their rotations, though. The number 8s and the fullbacks do rotate, so Arsenal have to be incredibly disciplined, incredibly concentrated.
Yeah.
So Martinelli had to do a really great defensive shift there, because basically he had to be picking up Poirot in those pockets where he went to. So if they went down that side, that was Martinelli's job. Then Saka from the other side would tuck in.
Yeah.
So I thought the wide player was tucking on the side where the ball wasn't going, and then the wide player was tracking the run of the fullback on the side the ball was going, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's fascinating you say that, because actually I agree with you. I noticed it in so many ways, because one of the things I really want to make the point with this video is it's the fluidity of Arsenal. We talk about fluidity from an attacking perspective. The fluidity of Arsenal from a defensive perspective is phenomenal. And what we mean by that is the ability to, like we said, this is the 4-4-2, but there were moments where they would attack like this.
Yeah.
So White would come out to Son, Saka would track Udogie.
Yeah.
And then you're right, I mean, maybe Martinelli probably is more tucked in there rather than worrying too much about Johnson. But then there were moments, sorry, did you want to come in on that?
I just want to come in. The other thing is, we talk about this season, we've been talking about the box midfield when we build up.
Yeah.
But if you notice there, the same principles off the ball. We've still got that box midfield. You've got Trossard and Havertz, if you go to the screen there.
Yeah.
Trossard and Havertz are sort of our two in a 4-4-2 press. You see there in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
Then if you look at Jorginho and Partey, they are maintaining the shape of the box midfield out of possession.
Yeah.
So, and then with the player who tucks in to make it a 3, we've sort of like congested the middle of the pitch and stopped them playing through the pitch. Tottenham wanted to play through the middle of the pitch yesterday. And in some respects, the way that we've come up against teams who want to stop us playing through the middle of the pitch this season, we returned the favour yesterday against Tottenham, who we knew would have high possession in this game. Yeah. They went ultra-attacking in their midfield setup. I 100% agree with you. The midfield setup was wrong for me. Bentancur's not a 6. Maddison is more a 10, I think, and he played deep yesterday. Kulusevski is more a wide player, or a player who can play through the middle, where he's had some success pre-season. But they went with this strange sort of midfield setup yesterday, but they still had a lot of the ball. They liked to build in a 2-3-5. Yeah. Arteta made sure that we had 5 back to defend every time they attacked in a 5.
And what you have is Son here with White sort of going over. What I like about Arsenal is that, again, this isn't just a simple... For me, it's so lazy to go, oh, well, they just low blocked it for 90 minutes, because if that's the case, then White is as tight to Saliba and Gabriel as possible, and that back four will not move. But what makes Arsenal and the intricacies of our defending so interesting, so clever, and worthy of so much more praise than just, oh, they just parked the bus for 90 minutes, it's because when that ball comes out to Son, White would go over, because there is a degree of man-to-man. There is a degree of, right, Son is White's man. And so Saka will follow Udogie inside, and then there'll be moments where maybe Udogie's a little bit deeper, so Saka will cover that run. But if Maddison is floating into the 10 space, Partey will go over and make it the back 5 or the back 6 or whatever it is, and make sure that that half space is covered because White's still out there with Son. And then there'd even be moments where you can have their Tottenham players in the same position, but because of circumstance, because of rotations, you find yourself actually White, you tuck in, Saka, you come back as a wing back, Partey, you hold your position as a number 6, and Havertz would work all the way across to help out as well. So again, what I really want to get through in this video is 2 things. Anyone who's saying Saka and Martinelli didn't have a great game, you're looking too much through the lens of what they did going forward. What they did defensively is massive and is crucial, and they helped set the tone for this. That's the first thing. But secondly, don't just reduce Arsenal's performance and tactics to they parked the bus and scored from a set piece. There is so much more that goes into what we do defensively that I don't think gets... Everyone gives Arsenal credit for how good we are defensively, but I don't think they mention it from a tactical and concentration perspective. They mention it more from like a resilience perspective, which is great, but there's the other side too.
What I love about Mikel is he respects both sides of the game.
Massively.
We've got a philosophy, the way we want to play football, James, and that can't be denied.
Yeah.
But when we have to, we respect the other side of the game. And take, for example, we talked about Tottenham's rotations. Solanke was doing. I thought Solanke had a pretty good game.
Yeah.
He was pulling Gabriel out of the middle at times when they wanted to build up. But what I noticed was Thomas Partey was dropping in, covering the hole when Gabriel was pulled out. That was just showed each player working for each other. They've got a collective love of defending, Arsenal. This back four defends as a unit, and they hate conceding goals. But also the other players in front, Partey and Jorginho, did their shift yesterday and covered spaces when they needed to.
Yep, they did. Let's go through some of the data we got from Cannon Stats. I mean, the defensive actions, you can see there, Arsenal doing a lot of them, in and around zone 14, which we mentioned. Tottenham got in and around that area quite a lot, but as you can also see, an average line of engagement a little bit higher, and that sort of, matched with the pass of a defensive action showed that Arsenal weren't just about sitting off and clearing it once they got to the 6-yard box. There was higher engagement that perhaps Arsenal being given credit for. But what I love about this data from Cannon Stats, and go check out Cannon Stats, by the way, because there's so much great analysis, data and info that we're using, for this show, but go check it out on the website as well. What I love is that it's highlighted some players I think deserve a lot of credit, and you've got some numbers on them which we'll go through in a bit. But Gabriel Martinelli here, 15 ground duels. He got involved in more ground duels than any other player. Again, why? If you look at my AFTV player ratings that came out an hour or 2 hours after the game, I had him as an 8 out of 10. And a lot of people, I haven't seen the comments, but a lot of people, 8 out of 10, what are you talking about? Missed a big chance, what did he do on the ball? But the work ethic cannot be ignored. He won 10 of those 5 duels. Won 10 of those 15, losing 5. But again, you're right to mention Thomas Partey, only engaging in 5, but he won all 5. Leandro Trossard, Bukayo Saka, they are setting the tone. So, like I said, not just low block, not just Gabriel Saliba doing all the work. The rest of the team had to contribute massively, and the 3 players that had the most ground duels contested were 3 attackers.
Yeah, it was a real team effort, wasn't it, from front to back. I think also, although obviously everybody concentrated on that one big moment in the first half when Gabriel Martinelli went through. I don't blame him for taking it on, because I think if you're a striker in that position, you do take the shot on. I think where he probably could have done slightly something differently, I just wonder whether he could have, obviously he had the option to try and square it to Saka, but he's running in on goal. I think maybe he could have sort of like come back on and then onto his right foot, sort of like checked back and round the defender and got a shot away that way. Could have taken it slightly closer and then come inside, but you can't criticise him. He was a constant threat down that left-hand side in our first half, our outlet down that side, and he put in a really top-quality cross for Kai Havertz in the first half, which was a header that the keeper saved, pushed up onto one of their defenders on the line. So I thought Martinelli is being judged on that one miss, but overall his performance in the game was really good. I
agree. Now more Cannon Stats for you. Aerial duels, and again this is where Kai Havertz comes out on top. I thought he led the line brilliantly. 13 contested with 8 of them won. That is not easy against the likes of Mickey van der Ven, who he was more often going to that side because he wanted Saka to be the player he combined with, as you mentioned. That was also where his out of possession shape was to drift more to the right, and I just thought that he was brilliant, led the line super well. Everything from whether it be his first touch to take the ball under control to get us playing, whether it be to win flick-ons, whether it be setting the tone with the press, whether it be dropping into midfield to give us numbers there. Everything Kai Havertz did was brilliant. And I wanted to actually talk about him more from the tactical power perspective. And I know that everyone always loves when we break down a goal. I mean, apart from recreating a nudge on Romero, there's not really much I can really do in terms of that. So what I wanted to do was recreate something that actually, it was Turkish, I'm going to give massive credit to, who pointed this out on Forever Arsenal. When I was praising Kai Havertz, he said, yeah, and Kai Havertz, showed some really good hold-up play in the run-up to us winning the corner. And when I watched it back, and he's absolutely right. And I remember the moment, it's just, sometimes you think certain moments happen way before or way after or whatever. So what we've got here is Tottenham on the ball. Now, they've had a set piece. It's come out. Udogie's recycled possessions, made its way back to Maddison. Here we are. Arsenal are now defending with Romero, Solanke and Johnson all in the box, and Son actually in the box, but he's near the back post. Thomas Partey is about to make a clearance. But if you look at Kai Havertz, his instinct, first and foremost, is get back into shape, make sure we're condensed, make sure that we're basically all in our defensive third. But the minute this head out from Partey, Havertz starts to recognise there is space to attack. Romero's in the box, and there is an option, there's an ability to go to the other end of the pitch and hurt them. So The ball comes in, we'll show it in slow motion from Maddison. Partey drops in. Let's not miss Partey's contribution here because he's actually a little bit further ahead of the back four, but he gets back, gets his head on it, he launches it clear. Now, Trossard knows what he's doing. This isn't just a clearance. This is, I know where the space is, and Havertz has made the run. And I'm actually going to take it back to the beginning again, because Havertz, at this point, ball goes into the box, he's running back, but the minute it's headed out, I've recreated it really purposefully, he attacks that space. Now focus on the front three at this point, because he takes a touch here, drags it inside and rolls it into Martinelli. He's actually getting pressure from another midfielder before he gives it wide to Saka. And at that point, we're running through, shot blocked, takes on Udogie, wins a corner, we score from it. There's a little bit of a break as Porro was nursing an injury. But we created a 3-on-3 from really good compact defending. Trossard being very clever on the edge of the area. Again, people were saying Trossard struggled. I thought he had a decent game. Obviously, put the ball on maybe not on a plate, but put Martinelli through on goal, where so he could have had an assist. But again, he played a big part in finding Kai Havertz there, and the front three did their bit to try and win us a moment that ultimately got us the goal and the win at Tottenham Hotspur. Kai Havertz led the line brilliantly, and I wanted to illustrate that moment because I think again it could be easily forgotten.
Yeah, he was absolutely out on his feet at the end of the game, and that just showed how much he worked hard for the team. He really bought into the work ethic yesterday, as all the players did, and I think that was the general tactics. We were going to sort of like defend in numbers and break and use Martinelli and Saka in wide areas, but obviously Kai plays a big important role in that. And I think there's many ways to win a football game, and I think sometimes when you're in games where you're being asked to defend, sometimes a route to score a goal, you have to maximise every possible way to get a job done, and that's what we did yesterday with that movement to get the corner and then the set play. There's a lot of talk on the media yesterday about Tottenham's poor defending at set plays, but they went more man to man yesterday from corners. Last year when we hit them for 3 in the first half, they were marking zonally, and you could question the goalkeeper. There's a lot of sort of like debate around the goalkeeper not coming, a lot of debate around Romero, he doesn't track the run. But I like to highlight two things really, and that is the superb delivery from Bukayo Saka to actually put that in that area. And they train on this day in, day out now, don't they? And then the run of Gabriel and the power, a monstrous, as I think the commentator described on telly, a monstrous header to win a North London derby.
Absolutely. Well, let's go through some of the data because...
A monster header.
A monster header. Well, Arsenal have the most set-piece goals since the start of the 23-24 season, which was last year's campaign, with 24 goals from set-pieces. Everton with 21, Liverpool, City and Newcastle with 17, which just goes to show you that even though it's City and Liverpool, they take this area of the game very seriously, and Arsenal have been terrific and led the way for a few years now. I mean, the thing is, we've talked about Nicolas Jover so many times on Tactical Insight that, I don't go and dig up the old data because, a lot of people have seen it, but I guess it is worth mentioning that when you look at when Andreas Georgeson, I think, had a year at the club, he came from Brentford, I think, and he was our set-piece coach for a year. And he was only here for a year, so I'm not judging his work too harshly here. But from when Nicolas Jover came in, our rankings for where we were in the Premier League for goals from set-pieces just shot up immediately. In his first year, we were into the top 4 for goals from set-pieces, and we've maintained that position every year since. I think this is his 3rd or 4th full season now with us. So it's just been a consistent thing. It's not just from the start of last season. We've been very good from set-pieces for a while now. Now this did the rounds on Sky, this graphic that Arsenal's away form in the Premier League in 2024 has seen 11 games played, 10 wins, 1 draw. We haven't lost a single game. We've scored 31, conceding just 3 goals. 2 of them were in the North London derby from 3-0 up. We've got 9 clean sheets in those 11. We've played 990 minutes and we have been behind 0 times. Not once have we gone behind in an away game in 2024. It is such a stark contrast. It is the opposite end of the spectrum from the last year of Wenger, where we can buy a win away from home, and that's not a slight of Wenger, I'm just talking about even under Emery we struggled away from home. It's just, we've come so far in terms of our resilience, our understanding of how to play the game differently on the road to when we're in front of our own crowd at the Emirates. And it is just, the away fans must be having the time of their lives, because this team show up, whatever the weather, whatever the time of year, whatever the occasion, whatever the opponent, they just do not shirk responsibilities.
No, we are a proper football team now, aren't we? That away record is unbelievable this season in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
It's a combination, I think, going back to Nicolas Jover, his set piece coaching. I think one of Arteta's best signings, you could argue, you know.
Yeah.
But a combination of Jover's set piece work and Mikel's coaching, and the way that we've sort of got our combinations, our rotations, our fluidity, the way we like to play our football. We've got our philosophy, but we've also have now got this strong defensive base. And in away games, that's what you need to get over the line, and that's what we've demonstrated, I think, this season on the road. I think 9 clean sheets now this season, on 2024 in the away games. And I think we've had wins at places like Spurs now twice, at Aston Villa. We've sort
of Trafford.
Old Trafford, yeah, and we got a 0-0 at Man City, and we drew at Anfield. So we are incredibly hard to beat on the road now, and you need to be if you're going to challenge for the title.
Absolutely. There's more stats when it comes to that away record that you sent through, to be fair. 108 shots faced is the best of any team in the in 2024 for their away record. 22 shots on target, 7.9 XG against. That is absolutely incredible. 3 goals conceded and 9 clean sheets, and rank us first in the Premier League for all those things. Let's just go through a couple of players that deserve real credit, because we've talked about Kai Havertz, we've talked about the wingers, but I think 2 players that really stood out. I mean, Saliba's one of them, but Gabriel, got to mention, most defensive actions with 12 on the day, most clearances with 7, most ball recoveries with 6, most blocks with 2. He also won 2 ground duels, an aerial duel, and scored the winning goal. Gabriel, I just think, in a world where there's combined 11s with Romero and Van der Ven in it, listen, argue amongst yourselves. I'm not swapping Gabriel for anyone in the world. I'm not. Him and Saliba, I love them. I wouldn't swap them for anyone. I mean it.
I did see some of your AFTV content. I know Turkish was questioning him, saying, I want a proper performance from him in this game, because he's made a couple of mistakes this season. He got that proper performance. He did. Sunday.
And he actually acknowledged that in Forever Arsenal.
And I'm glad he did, because I wouldn't swap Gabriel for anybody. I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves, but simply because everybody talks about William Saliba, and rightly so. But they are a great combination, you know. And he's a presence in both boxes. He's now scored, I think, 15 goals for us since he's come to the club, which is phenomenal. He's a real presence in both boxes.
I remember we won 2-0 away at Leicester. That's back when they were still quite a good team. In fact, people probably had them as more favourites for top 4, and that was the year that we just signed Ben White and Ramsdale. You know, when Ramsdale made the amazing save, right? Yeah. Funny enough, from a James Maddison free kick. So I remember coming out of that game, and the title of my fan cam was Gabriel's one of the best defenders in the league. I think that was kind of laughed at by a few people, but sometimes you see a player and you go, well, what doesn't he have? He's good on the ball, he's really quick, he's 6'4", but not 6'4", and but he's strong, he's big, he's a monster. Like, Lee said it for Arsenal. Like, we're lucky enough to be in the mix zone when we're on tour, and they walk past, and Gabriel's like, hello. I think he kindly shook my hand, but I mean, like, I was a bit sort of, oh God. You know, it's like, you know, these players are, imagine playing against these guys, right? And he's all smiles and he loves it. He's just a top bloke. But like, you know, there's also that demeanour that this Arsenal team have. And I just felt that watching him, and I go back to 3 years ago, and that was around October 2021. And 3 years on, I'm just not surprised by the defender he's grown into, to the point where he's putting these conversations now, not just in the league, but worldwide, because he had all the attributes, and just cleaning up his game slightly and improving, because he was still young, and he's only, what now, 25, 26? Like, he can have another 5-6 years and go down as one of the great Arsenal defenders with William Saliba. I hope we keep that partnership for a long time, and I hope they win silverware, because their quality is there for me. Now we just need the accolades to really cement it. I rate them that highly, Graham. I really do.
Yeah, I think they're a fantastic combination. I think he's a fantastic defender, and he's a real presence in both boxes. You can't deny that. And the thing about what Mikel's done quite cleverly, James, is when he's added to this group, you talked about players over 6 foot. When they come in now, they're all over 6 foot, aren't they?
Yeah.
Even
Havertz,
Mikel
Rice.
Mourinho, when he's coming, he's a tall guy.
Mikel Mourinho.
He's to join the group. White's tall,
Monsters
Saliba's tall,
all over.
Gabriel's tall. You know, we've got Havertz is tall, Rice is tall. We've got really tall guys.
Where did Arteta get this from? Because he himself's like 5'10". Now, where did he decide I want a team of 6'3" giants? But I love it.
Well, if you're going to defend your box and attack box from corners, it does give you a tremendous advantage if you've got guys over 6 foot, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, one player that probably deserves, well, we haven't even got a graphic for it, but probably deserves just more time as well for the start he's made to the season is David Raya. 4 fantastic performances, I feel, in these opening 4 games. 100% aerial duel win rate, 9, and I imagine that's for catches as well. I'm not talking, he's not leaping up and heading the ball out, David Raya, but 9 long passes completed. Very good numbers that. 5 saves, 4 inside the box. What's the save outside the box?
Can't remember it, but
0.33 goals prevented, 2 high claims and 1 keeper sweeper action. He's made a fantastic start to the season.
He has. He's really grown in confidence, James.
Yeah, he has.
And you talk about White, Saliba and Gabriel, who were like settled fixtures in this defence. The 2 players who've over the last year or so, we're seeing now with Timber. As I said earlier, I think that was a breakout performance for Timber yesterday. And that tackle that he made, all the fuss about that, I didn't even think that was a yellow. I think it was 2 players sort of like coming together on the ball.
Really
I was shocked by the way they're talking about potential sending
but they were talking nonsense. They were entertaining a red card. They were wondering whether it was a foul on Romero.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. But Timber and Raya this season, Raya over the last season, now he's fully established now as number 1. Ramsdale's gone to Southampton. He's growing in confidence. He's making saves when we need him. And, that's the sign of a good goalkeeper, actually, because when you play for Arsenal, you don't make a lot of saves, but you have to be switched on, concentrated to make that one key save. Timber's come in and I think looked like, a proper footballer, a proper defender. So that back 5 now is looking, I think, unbelievably strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, time for the roundups. That's Graham. It's your time to shine after the North London derby. Yeah, well.
I was just saying to you before we came on today, that was my 107th League North London derby since I've been following Arsenal.
You need to find the stats on.
I need to find the stats on what our win rate is. But we've closed today's show, James, with these stats. Arsenal have now won 6 consecutive Premier League games since the first time since March to September 2013, when they won 8 in a row under Arsene Wenger. Arsenal have won 3 consecutive North London derbies for the first time since September 1988. Bukayo Saka has been directly involved in more Premier League goals with Spurs, that's 6 now, than any other side he has faced. He really gets it, our star boy, doesn't he? And finally, James, I'll leave you with this one. As Arsenal cut the gap to Man City at the top back to 2 points as they attempt to win their first Premier League title for 20 years, as long as that may seem, just a reminder recently that Spurs official have now celebrated 2 billion seconds without a league title. So to put that into some sort of perspective for you, that means they should win their next league title at the end of the 2087-88 season, which I've been incredibly lucky because I came onto the planet in 1961 just after they won their last league title. So if that is proved correct, I should get off the planet before they win the next one.
Well, Graham, I hope we have more than 2 billion seconds of you. But
no,
I'll tell you
won't
what,
get that, mate. I'll be 127.
But if you sign off as someone who never saw Tottenham win a league title,
I've seen Arsenal win 6 league titles in my life. Yeah. I think I've seen Tottenham win an Audi, but I haven't seen them win a league title.
Listen, Arsenal fans, enjoy it. I tell you what, while I think this Atalanta game, being on a Thursday, a bit too close to City on Sunday, that's frustrating, but it means we can soak in this North London derby and enjoy it. It is so, and I say this on Forever Arsenal, it is not often that you have an away record like that you are winning North London derbies, especially 3 in a row, especially away from home. Just, soak it in. Enjoy every minute of it, like Graham is. Hope you all enjoyed this tactical breakdown. Let's show some love for Martinelli and Saka, because every player on that pitch deserves tremendous credit. But the work that they do, we hope we've highlighted it in some way just to give you some idea for how much graft they put in to try and get this win over the line. It's not scintillating, compilation making stuff from them, but it's crucial, and that's what we want to highlight in this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Big thanks to Graham. Hit the like button if you did enjoy the video, and check out everything on AFTV throughout the week as we prepare for Atalanta away to kick off a very new and unique Champions League campaign.